Look, let's move on because Labor MPs are split over the Albanese government's rushed deportation laws. MPs on both sides warn banning entire nationalities from travelling to Australia is an overreach. Tania, do you agree? Is this a government overreach? Have they got the balance right?
I think a large part of this legislation that's been proposed is probably something that most Australians would agree with. The idea that you would block people from coming from countries that don't have a solid repatriation policy is probably right. The problem here is that, as I understand, this legislation was dropped into Parliament in the last 2 days before the Parliament went into recess for 6 weeks. Very little information and briefing was provided to either the crossbench or to the opposition. There was an expectation that the legislation, which is really very legal, detail, it's an enormous amount of detail and difficult to actually comprehend and understand fully. In fact, the ministers themselves, when questioned, couldn't actually explain the legislation themselves, which is problematic. That's a huge worry. So it doesn't surprise me that you've had the Greens, One Nation, the Coalition, everybody saying, bad luck, we need an inquiry in this because you don't understand legislation and neither do we. We need to make sure there aren't any unintended consequences of what you're proposing, or that it be effectively thrown out by the High Court down the track. So this has been going on for a while, since November. They've had ample opportunity, the government, to get this legislation right, and they've had ample opportunity to actually brief people, get the best legal heads in Australia to get across this legislation, and they haven't done so. And in fact, it's amateur hour, isn't it? I mean, leaving this last minute is a joke.